At any rate, Ali Bradley's been investigating us, and what we're finding out is there's very little system in place for these Border Patrol agents, once they get to a migrant, once they find a migrant, to do any kind of background check on who that person is, where they have come from, and what their life was like back in their home country. Most countries do not cooperate at all with our authorities when they ask them for such information. So joining me now for more on all of this is Lieutenant Chris Olivarez. He's the spokesperson for the Texas Department of Public Safety. Great to have you here, Chris. This murder suspect was arrested by Border Patrol when he first crossed, released after 21 hours because there was no space. How often is that happening?
You know, Elizabeth, unfortunately, it's very often. And the problem is, this individual was released via parole. And that's a problem. When we talk about a systemic failure, well, we're talking about the asylum process. We're talking about the parole process. There is an abuse of the parole process. Now, parole should only be used in a case-by-case scenario or urgent humanitarian situation or a significant public benefit. But now, what we've seen in the last 3 years, the federal government has been using parole to release illegal immigrants into the country. And this is a result of that, especially when you have an overwhelming system. You don't have enough agents to do all the background checks. You don't have enough capacity to house these individuals to do these background checks, do a more thorough background check. And because of that, they're released to the country. And we're seeing these tragic events take place throughout the country, most recently with Laken Riley, as you mentioned, just a very devastating situation. But again, it all goes back to, as you mentioned early on, a systemic failure. And that's what we're seeing right now. And unfortunately, we're going to continue seeing those tragedies take place if we do not do something as far as controlling the flow of people coming across the border and actually apply consequences to that.
So these migrants who cross, like this man did, Ibarra crossed illegally. He then claimed a fear of being returned to Venezuela. And on that basis alone, nobody checked, because we can't. Venezuelan's government doesn't cooperate with the U.S. government at all. That's why things are so bad there. That's why people are fleeing. Are no background checks done at all? Does somebody just have to say, I'm afraid for my life if you return me?
Well, that's what's been happening. Of course, I can't really speak 100% on what Border Patrol does as far as their process, but just talking to some of the agents and what we know just through experience is that many of these countries, as you mentioned, they don't share their criminal histories with the United States. And many of these countries, we don't know exactly what their backgrounds are. And we may find out days, weeks, maybe years later that a particular individual may have had some type of violent background or wanted for murder or even on a terror screening database. This is a perfect situation of that because this individual was released and should not have been released into the country. Venezuela right now, as you mentioned, they're not even accepting their own people. They don't want them back.
Yeah.
So now these people are being released into the country, and that's what we're seeing.
Do these migrants show any paperwork at all when they cross?
You know, Elizabeth, the ones that we have encountered as far as the state level, they don't have any documentation. They don't have birth certificates. They don't have IDs, marriage license. That's why many of these groups that come across and they present themselves as families, we don't even know for a fact if they are families or if those children actually belong to these individuals. That's why this situation is much broader than we talk about a humanitarian crisis. There's so much more involved with that, and we're seeing that not only with children, but also with some of these adults that are being released that are exploiting the system because they know they can get away with it, especially when they don't have any type of identifying information.
And we know that, especially from Venezuela, there has been an enormous, massive number of people fleeing that country. It's been the largest single migration in South America in a century. And the vast majority of these people are not criminals, but the fact of the matter is some of them are. And there have been reports that the Venezuelan government is encouraging opening prison doors and encouraging some of these inmates to go because they're hoping to convince the United States to ease economic sanctions.
Exactly. So, of course, we're not saying that every person that comes across the border, especially Venezuelans, are bad, but you are going to have those bad actors that are going to take full advantage of the situation. They're going to try to blend in with some of these family groups or even, present themselves as a family, bring a child across that may not belong to them. And some of these individuals are gang members. There's a significant threat with MS-13 gang members. We've seen that in our country. We've apprehended some of those individuals trying to sneak into the country. But that's a result of just a broken system as far as with the agreements with other countries. And that's why I think, in my opinion, the federal government needs to put more pressure on some of these countries so they can accept their individuals or have a process where you have more time to do proper vetting so you're not just mass releasing single adults, especially single adults, into the country.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.